Welcome to Thriving Launch with Louise Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
5 days a week, we bring you different segments to inspire you to live a life of freedom. We interview the leading experts in the field of business, health, and love. Be sure to check out Training Tuesdays, where we give you a clear action plan to grow your own business. Maybe you can relate to this. When I was a full-time coach, keep repeating the same things to people over and over and over again, and it got to be kind of draining, and I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing anymore. So what I decided to do was record the things that I had to tell clients over and over and over again, and then I packaged those recordings together and sold them as an online course. If you're interested in creating and selling your own online course, head over to thrivinglaunch.com, and I have a free training for you on how to create and make passive income through your own online course.
Hey, welcome to Thriving Launch. Today, we want to do a special episode where you get to meet your hosts. And today, we want to talk about who is Kamala, why is she doing the show, who is she, just so all of you at Thriving Launch can all connect with Kamala. So, Kamala, welcome.
Thanks so much, Louise. It's such a joy to be in this environment with you and to have the honor to do this show with you.
You know, I'm excited right now because, well, I want everybody to know who it is that's hosting the show and who I have the pleasure to run a business with, travel with, and be a partner with. So, Kamala, why don't you kick it off and just kind of tell us a little bit about who you are and bring us through your journey.
Well, I think something that's really fundamental and important for both of us, Louise, is the word freedom. And that's really why we created this show, is because we want to have freedom in our lives, which we do, and we want to promote freedom for other people. Freedom became very important to me at a young age. I started traveling without my parents when I was 10 years old, and I started doing my first hitchhiking trips at the age of 13. I hitchhiked around the United States when I was 15, hitchhiked across Canada when I was 16, hitchhiked all around Europe when I was 17, and I really discovered freedom and how important freedom was for me. Something that came of that was I found what it meant to be an entrepreneur at a young age. I started becoming an entrepreneur, I would say, at around the time that I discovered travel and how much I loved it. And then when I was 19, I started my very first business, and I haven't looked back. I haven't worked for anyone since.
That's so incredible to hear just a snippet of your story. And it's really apparent why you would want to start the Thriving Launch podcast and why you got involved with helping people launch online businesses. But there was a time too when you were like doing meditation retreats and helping people with their relationships and singles and couples. And I'd love to hear a little bit about that too, just because I think the audience, I know personally, that's something that I find very interesting about you, and it adds this depth to you.
Thanks, Louise. Yeah, well, one thing that I found on my travels is I discovered the power of touch and how touch and breath and movement can change your whole world. It can change everything. So I got interested in energy medicine. I studied it for about a year before I found there were schools on it. I went to school for energy medicine. I did maybe 3 years of schooling, and then I got hired as a lead instructor at the Earthwalk Institute for Healing Arts, and I started teaching energy medicine. I started teaching a higher sense of perception, so how to perceive things beyond the normal 5 senses. I also taught in-depth energy structures within the body and how the energy inside of us is affected by the energy outside of us. And it's kind of a tumbling journey because as I got deeper into energy medicine, I saw how important nutrition was to the body as well. So I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and started becoming a health coach and supporting people with their health. And there was another missing element for me, which was relationships. For me, relationships are a really important part of my journey. And if you've read my book, Road to Love, you'll see how relationships have kind of helped to shape the path I'm on. And so I got deep into intimacy and the art of Tantra. And I know that it kind of seems like that's a lot of different topics to cover, but for me, it was all about becoming a holistic person and helping other people live holistic lives. And through that process, I was building my own business, I was studying marketing, and I was growing my business online. And an important thing about an online business for me was that it gave me the freedom that I desired. It gave me the freedom that I found in a young age, and it helped me to shape my life the way I want it.
It's really cool to get just a snippet of your whole life. Unlike other people, I have a lot of opportunities to spend time around you, but just hearing you play out your life, it's so apparent that you've lived such an eclectic life and you've sought out so many different practices and knowledge and experiences. I'm curious, how does that all influence you now, and how does it influence the Thriving Launch show and the expectations that people can have of the show?
It's a really good question, because for me, that background, everything that I've done, and I think this is true for people, that all of the moments that we have in our lives, they build up to where we are now. And I think we're all at our greatest when we get to embody the most amount of gifts that we have. When we can live our lives really integrating all of our gifts, then we're at our highest level. And for me, the business that I have now, and doing this show with you and running this business with you and living the life that we live, Luis, it's really a life of being able to embody those gifts, the gifts of being more present, something like as simple as that, or being able to understand what intimacy is and connection. And really, the business that we have is helping people grow their online businesses. So to be able to take the very intuitive parts of me and incorporate it with the extremely strategical parts of me is something that is such a passion. And one of the reasons we do this show is because it allows us to be friends with and connect with the highest level people on the planet, the highest experts in their industry that know about relationships, that have devoted their lives to things like spirituality, that have devoted their lives to helping people with their businesses. And so we bring those experts on, and it becomes not just an experience where people are coming to learn about business or spirituality, but it's really for the holistic entrepreneur, the entrepreneur who's looking for the life of freedom, the life of being the best version of ourselves that we can be, where we bring all of our gifts together and access those gifts on a daily basis.
That's great, Kamala. And before we sign off here, I just want to ask you, is there anything that you want people who are listening to the Thriving Launch show to know, or any kind of message for them before we sign off?
Well, I think the biggest message is from all of this is really, I encourage you to stretch yourselves, to find out what your gifts are, to discover what your passions are, and to utilize those gifts as much as you possibly can every single day, because that is when you're going to be playing on your highest level possible. Because when you are playing on your highest level, you inspire other people to do the same. It's good for our hearts. It's good for the hearts and souls of the people around us. And I think it's good for the world.
All right. Thank you so much, Kamala. Great to just have a little introduction to you. All of you listening, we're going to continue shows where we're going to open up who the hosts are, find out more about the show and what's going on in the show. Until then, tune into the next episode on Thriving Launch and head on over to thrivinglaunch.com to learn more.
You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.
If you've ever thought about using video to help grow your business and stand out, then you're going to love our next episode with Miguel Hernandez. He's received testimonials and business from the likes of Ashton Kutcher. He really knows how to use video and how to use it to grow a business. So be sure to listen to that next episode.